Hey everyone, another day, another handheld, with this one being the D007 Plus Pro. The D007 Plus Pro is, as the name implies, a follow-up from last year's D007 handheld. Although I say a follow-up, disappointingly, other than the colour options available and some very slight changes to the box and instructions, there isn't really much differences to talk about here. This is a massive shame, as even if they used the opportunity just to address the D007's huge bezels or D-pad, there would have been some improvements to be had here, but unfortunately there's only missed opportunity. So we've got the same RK3326 chip that essentially will be okay up until the PSP and Nintendo 64 libraries, where it will cover some of the more lighter weight titles but suffer with anything mildly intensive onwards. Otherwise, we've got a gig of RAM, a 3.5-inch display at a 640 by 480 resolution, as well as its huge bezels, a 2500 mAh battery, no wireless capabilities, a weight of around 225 grams, and although it's referred to as an Android games console, it's essentially got an incredibly locked down overlay on top of what looks like to be an Android base. The D007 Plus Pro comes in at around $50-ish, although it can be caught for less during sale. So, straight out of the box, I've picked up one of the new transparent colour options, which admittedly does look quite nice. There's a dark blue feel to the colour that looks and feels quite nice, although you do see a few areas where they've cut a few corners upon close inspection, with a bit of a sandpapered effect to its transparency, and a really rough labelling to things like the microSD card slot. We do have a little plus addition to the top of its labelling, though the back still sports the same original D007 model sticker, which just emphasises just how lazy of a refresh this is. We still have the rubber grips at the back, which are admittedly still comfortable, and the clicker shoulder buttons that are still some of the less annoying variants of this style, though still obviously aren't the best. In terms of controls, I still don't personally go for this style of long but thin D-pad, as I find just pulling off multi-directional input quite difficult, and the D-pad still sinks a bit too far into the case for my liking, but it is at the very least usable once you've adjusted to it. The buttons fare far better, with a nice size and relatively good responsiveness to them, and the joysticks are okay, with a neat light-up effect whenever they're touched in-game, but there's still this awkwardness to reaching them while using the joysticks, and although they're less clicky than some, there's still this clicky style of shoulder button. The firmware looks very similar to the original D007, with it effectively being an overlay style to an Android base. The original D007 did have an unofficial Amber Elect port to it, which will likely still work for those who are interested, but the stock experience here is quite basic. It arrives with ROMs with the majority have art associated, and you're able to search somewhat effectively and have access to some basic functions like save states and control remapping, although the control remapping is limited to the device controls and not emulator specific, so you can only remap the controls you actually have and not add new mappings, which does limit you in systems like Nintendo 64, where you're not physically able to map all the buttons. Additionally, some systems have various overlays applied, and we can see in a comparison in Pokemon Pinball how cartoony the text is compared to the original, which is bound to get to purists instantly. So, on that note, I'll cut some gameplay now and summarise back up at the end. So the D007 Plus Pro is essentially just the same old D007, which is just feeling its age even more a year down the line. We've still got the huge bezels, quirky firmware and OK controls alongside that $50-ish ORP tag. If you're able to grab the D007 Plus Pro at a bargain bin price during a sale, there is admittedly an OK base of a handheld here, but with all the while you can pick up any of Ambinic's RG35XX range or things like the R36S for cheaper, the D007 Plus Pro is a disappointingly tough sell. That's it for now though, thanks so much for watching.